Teenagers often think they know more than their parents. Spoiler alert, they don't. Well, my next guest says the same is actually true for middle-agers. We may think we know more than our older parents, but alas, we do not either. Whether you are an adult child with an aging parent or you are the aging parent, it's normal to feel scared and even frustrated with change. But today we're sharing ways to better communicate and some unintentional jabs to avoid. Dr. Kerry Burnight shares advice online with the tagline, "Let's make older better together." She studied and taught geriatric medicine and understands all of the changes that go along with growing older. She is here with some words of wisdom. Dr. Burnight, welcome to Studio 5. What drew you to this area of medicine? I'm so curious.
We joke that I was born a gerontologist because my parents were already gray when I was born, as I was a surprise. So I always think I had a heightened awareness of what it's like to be older.
At every age and stage, wouldn't you say it's just, human nature to be frustrated sometimes, right, with the transitions and the adjustments that come with change?
That's so true.
Yeah.
We get frustrated with ourselves in these new different stages and with others who are in different stages than we're in. It's kind of throughout our lifetime.
You point out just how important it is to put ourselves in our parents' shoes. Elaborate on that a little bit, if you will.
It's critical because we're all going to be there. And what we keep in mind is that our parents are ahead of us. So as much as we think we know, just like our middle school selves thought that our parents weren't cool, now our parents are cool and they're ahead of us, even though we can't really understand that.
You've identified some unintentional jabs that can hurt both the recipient and the sender. I was looking over your list, and I'm so grateful that you're calling our attention to these things, because I think when you isolate them out of context, out of conversation, you're like, oh yeah, that's insensitive, that's hurtful. But if you kind of picture these phrases we'll talk about in the flow of your natural relationships and communication, you could see how they could unintentionally just come out and land wrong. So the first category is sort of the memory jabs. Walk us through these lines.
Yes, so even the most kind adult children, including myself, make these things of saying, I can't remember you. I can't believe you don't remember that. We just talked about it. So like little jabs about memory or quizzing people on memory, when in fact we don't need to do that at any age.
Can you give me an example of what this looks like maybe in a real conversation?
Yes. So maybe your mom comes over and she's talking about one of your children, her grandchildren, and uses a different name. You could say, Mom, her name is Elle. Or you could just let it slide. And then when you go to talk about her, say, oh, yes, Elle just came home from college, this or that, and not draw attention to errors that everyone makes.
Just graciously remind in the natural flow of conversation as it progresses.
Yeah, like don't even stop. Like just let mistakes happen here and there. We don't need to be the mistake police.
Yeah, I actually had that happen with a colleague just earlier today. We passed in the hall and she referenced she was going to interview someone, and I referenced a certain gender and it was a different. Anyway, she just so graciously just corrected me through the conversation without calling attention to my mistake or my lapse. It's so much more gracious that way, isn't it? Just kind.
Yes, because we all make them. My goodness, we all make mistakes.
It's kind. It's kind. Competency jabs. That's the next category.
Yes, so this might be something like, it's not hard. Here, let me do it. Or, oh, you need to do this. Here's what you need to do. And so I have a 95-year-old mother, and when I'm tempted to get in there and act like I'm taking over, she gently reminds me to back off and don't come in and think that because you're older, you are any less competent.
What should we say instead?
You might just say, like if she said, gosh, I'm having a hard time with my cell phone doing something. Don't need to make the biggest deal. You don't need to rip the phone out of her hand and say, let me do it. You don't need to say, oh, that's so easy. You could just say, show me what you've tried.
Okay.
And the person would show, and then just calmly like, maybe you try this.
Maybe you try this.
Yeah, easy.
Finally, relevance jabs, you say, can sneak into everyday conversation.
Yeah, a relevance jab is something that you have an older adult. I have a friend I was just with, she's 85, and we were talking about one topic, and then she kind of veered and was talking about something else. because I am not in that stage, I might think to myself, oh my gosh, she's totally off topic. Like, why are you talking about that? And I might say, oh, well, we weren't talking about that. Instead, recognize that the older adult has different objectives, about legacy, about making sense, and that their diversion can make perfect sense. And just, again, to go with it, and we can change topics and go with the conversation that the older adult is guiding us.
I love how you have guided us today, and again, highlighting these phrases we want to avoid. Do you know who I am? Do you remember when? I already told you that, or you already told me that. Just trying to sidestep those in a more kind and gentle manner. We will do that now because of your attention today brought to this topic, and we're so grateful that you joined us. Where can we find more advice from you?
If you'd like, drkerryburnight.com has advice, and then also you can get links to some online and some newsletters, because I think together we can change the narrative to really make older better for all of us.
I love that tagline, make older better for all of us. We'll link you over to Dr. Burnight's platforms, the community she's built on Instagram and through her website on ours, studio5.ksl.com. Very insightful conversation. Thanks for leading the way, Dr. Burnight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.